Well, good afternoon, rather, and welcome to Rydell's Computer Service. and Welcome to the office. Well, basically, after a couple of days of now that there's snow on the ground, it's kind of hard to get outside and do much of anything in the yard. And so today is a perfect opportunity to talk about Server 2016 and Server 2019. And basically, after playing with an evaluation copy of the software, no, I don't actually physically have any servers here in the office. I cheated and I used VMware Workstation Pro, and that works pretty good. You can set up a computer that's that can support the guest host operating system. Now, when it comes to that, not every computer is capable of doing it. I'll kind of give you a gist of what it doesn't really pertain to servers, but I'll tell you off the bat. All your HP Compact Pro, like 6000, 6005, 6200, 6300, 6305s, they all have the capability of running VMware. So you can run virtual machines on any of those, or your Z200 workstations or Z400s, or and so on. And even a lot of your Dell Latitudes and Precisions, Altiplexes, a lot of those, they can support virtual machines and operating systems. As long as you have enough RAM and a decent sized hard drive space to store your VMs. That's very important. Personally, I like VMware better than VirtualBox. VirtualBox, it's more difficult to use in my opinion. It When it comes to loading the ISO images onto the virtual machines, it's more of a struggle than it is with VMware. VMware is you get a pop up that comes up and you can search for your ISO file wherever you put it on your computer. But with VirtualBox, you don't quite get that option. So even though VMware is very expensive per year, it's well worth the purchase. And there's so much more you can do with it. You can host virtual servers on there. You can remote into virtual servers from a remote location. I believe you still have to have a VPN. I've never really played with hosting virtual servers and then remotely accessing. I've never quite got that far with it yet, but it does. The program is wonderful when it comes to, and it supports just about any platform. The only thing I don't think it supports is some of the oddball OSs that are out there that are man-made or homemade, very customary. Like for instance, like BDO or BDS or DOS, and even the only thing I wish that VMware would do is have an extra support, like a driver center for like Windows, for older versions of Windows XP, Vista 7, 8, and 10 aren't bad, or any of the servers aren't bad, but you get to some of the older stuff, and sometimes you have a difficult time getting drivers loaded or service packs loaded. Most people are thinking, why are you playing with older operating systems? That's all irrelevant. Well, not really. If you think about it, a lot of it is there's certain organizations like hospitals or factories where they're using CNC machines that don't need internet access, or if you're using a computer for a special application where you're not tied into the internet, then in some cases you kind of need to test. If want to test something and you don't want to have a bunch of computers around for the test scenarios, or you do have all those computers but you don't want to ruin them use a virtual machine with VMware, and let's say you mess it up. One thing I always recommend doing is take plenty of snapshots so you can always revert back to them in case you mess up your machine. All you'd have to do is go back to your latest snapshot, and it's like a restore function on Windows. I got a dry cough, so bear with me. So basically, I will be doing a video series on this, on VMware eventually. I'm not sure when and how I'm going to do this yet, but I got to get the right equipment set up to tape this, or if I can find some open source video capture software that actually works, that doesn't record it in such a low resolution that it'll look terrible and grainy. And so that's going to take some time to figure that out. But basically, the thing I'm going to look at is, so when you're setting up virtual servers, make sure you got your right IP addresses, and make sure that when you're setting up your domain services or domain forests, make sure that everything matches up. Don't have any typos anywhere, because if you have typos and you're trying to connect computers to your domain or your print server or DHCP or DNS, or you got the wrong numbers and you can't remember, things aren't going to work. You're not going to be able to link up to the server. But the thing to keep in mind is, with an evaluation copy of the server software, you don't have to pay extra licensing fees. But if you're using a OEM copy, I believe server licensing, you also have to pay per connection to the server. It's been a while since I've looked into it, but I think you have to pay per license or per computer or device connected or connecting to the server, and I don't believe that's going to be cheap. So what you want to do is, if you're going to look into updating servers, or, no, I'm not an engineer or anything like that, but basically there's a lot of facts and figures that go into figuring out what you need. The server memory and server parts are 5 times expensive as regular desktop parts. You might be able to go on eBay and get what you need, or Amazon or Tire Direct, but you're not going to find any of that in a retail store. You're not going to find server stuff at Best Buy. That's just not something that you would see very often. That's only a lot of your small businesses and enterprises and schools and healthcare and government-run organizations. They're about the only ones that actually use servers. There's some people in their homes that have servers set up. A lot of those are your tech junkies, but you got to remember, sometimes it can be frustrating if you have a server and let's say your server goes down and you have all your computers linked up to it through domain, DHCP, or DNS IP addresses, and it goes down, nothing else is going to work until you get your server back up and running. The only thing that's typically hot swappable on a server is usually the power supply fans. Anything with orange connectors is hot swappable. Hard drives and stuff like that are definitely not hot swappable. And the reason they design hot swappable parts on a server is so that you don't have to shut it down. And I think that they design that there's some firmware or firmware that comes up or either sends you an email or notification on your system saying, okay, one of the fans quit, get it replaced before the other fan goes out. And sometimes those fans, either the ball bearings wear down to nothing and it's rattling around, or they get too hot and they melt. It's kind of like a cable stuck around my foot. Okay, that's better. So basically, when it comes to servers and that, and even well, somebody asked me the other day what the difference between 2016 and 2019, and honestly, there's there are some nicer features with 2019 compared to 2016, but actually they look pretty much the same. It's the same interface, the same font colors and themes. It's nothing that drastically different. It's not like jumping from server 2008 to 2012 or from 2012 to 26. Actually, server 2012 really doesn't look that much different. Other than the only difference is it's got slightly different color scheme and it uses the Tile app for the interface, kind of like Windows 8.1 and 8. But basically, it's I would think 2016 is good enough. Well, why don't they hop online real quick and we'll see when server 2016 is going on support. Server 2016 will be the end of support will be 1/11 of 2027. So you got about like 7.5 years of continued updates, even though mainstream support already ended in 20. Actually, it began in 2016 or 10/15 of 16. So we got quite a ways to go. Server 2012 goes out in October 10th of 2023. So you got like 3.5 years. Okay, not quite 3.5, but 3 years and some odd months. Even though that's not relevant to what I'm talking about. With even Server 19, they just released that in March of 20th of 2018. Even though there's still a lot of people using Server 2012 and 16. I haven't. Once I sit down and use it more, I will be able to talk about it a little bit better. Server 2016 is still, it's very new to me yet. A couple 5-6 years ago, I was still using Server 2008 as a mainstream, and Server 2012 was kind of a new thing at the time for me even. But and even before that, I was like Server 2003, Server 2000, NT server, and 3.51 is just a fun thing to mess around with. But as far as playing with old servers, it's actually kind of exciting, especially with a lifestyle where you don't have anybody to talk to or anything to look forward to. You can just go to work, come home on a Friday night, play with your virtual machines, and make domain controllers. And doesn't that sound like a lot of fun? Most of you probably are thinking, nah, that's not fun. Sure it is. Especially if you link different. Now, the only one platform that you probably would not be able to link is like Linux to a Windows server. I don't think you can. I've never really played with Linux enough to determine if you can or can't. If anybody out there wants to try it, be my guest. Let me know. So basically, with server 2016 and 2019, it's kind of the same architecture, if you could put it that way. And there's a lot of, the only thing I think is going to change with server 2019 is there's supposed talk that group policy might change a little bit. And actually, that's not a bad thing. Because if I was going to set up in the 2019 server, first thing I would do on the server is disable Cortana on the 10 client. You don't want Cortana running. Cortana is not only annoying, but if you use a Cortana search box, you could potentially sell yourself out, if you know what I mean. And what I mean by sell yourself out is basically you're just giving all your information away to third parties like Microsoft and people in third world countries and anybody who's snooping on your computer. It's bad enough you got the NSA and the CIA and FBI and everybody else poking through your web browsing history and what you're doing on your computer. And Microsoft really doesn't need to know what you're doing. In my opinion, you got to have a little bit of privacy while you're on the computer. You can't. It's like it's like those smart devices that you use to control your house, like a smart thermostat or smart speaker, or the Alexa or the Amazon Echo or a Google one. I'm trying to think which one, or Siri, or I don't want to get off tangent here, but there's no privacy. It listens to all your personal conversations, and sometimes there's been reports of excruciatingly morbid things happening with those devices. So if I were you, stay away from that stuff. Stay away from smart light bulbs, smart cameras. Even smart TVs can possibly record you. So, and even with your webcams on your computer, just put something over the top of it, or just better yet, just disconnect it. Use it only when you need to. But as far as when it comes to privacy, just be careful what you do on there, because Microsoft could really do you in, or government, or any other organization that has full-blown access to all your private information and photos or documents or web browsing history or phone calls. It's not a clean society. So, on that note, if anybody else has any interesting suggestions for what they'd like to see down server 2019 or 26. Well, 2016 is pretty much the way it's supposed to be, but 2019, stuff could change one way or the other. It'd be kind of interesting to find out if there's any new features or any privacy policies that could be enabled on there so that you can disable Cortana or any of the security features that Microsoft embedded into their operating system. Seems like once Bill Gates left, all heck broke loose when it came to designing the operating system. Because when he left, in like sometime in 2006, they made Vista. That was crap. Then he came back and he redid Windows 7. That was a great operating system. And then I'm thinking he possibly retired again, and it's been just downhill ever since. So, on that note, we will come back for another stream another day. I've had a product review coming out pretty quick here. I'm doing one on. There's one already filmed on that HP Compact Pro 6000. I just have to render it to YouTube, and it should be coming out pretty quick. So, y'all enjoy your Fridays. Go home, kick back, play with some virtual machines. Make yourself a little mini server domain. Do something. Don't just sit around twiddling your thumbs for the whole weekend waiting for Monday to come around so you can go back to work. That's not exactly exciting. So, we will see you next time.